Hi, I'm Ray Comfort. Welcome to a discussion between myself and the well-known internet entity Thunderfoot. This isn't a normal discussion. We don't have a live audience. We don't have a moderator. I think it'll be a rational discussion between two opposing worldviews.
A rational conversation with Thunderfoot? Okay, it's a novel idea, I guess, because I had asked Thunderfoot if he ever wanted to debate me, and he always turned me down, but it's nice to see him putting his foot in the arena. So, Thunderfoot, if you want to debate me, you just let me know. The offer is still open. Anyways, I was really excited with this debate with Ray Comfort, although I'm kind of disappointed with how it turned out, so I'm going to make this video and comment on some of the things that were said and left unsaid.
Have those who are essentially intellectual vandals, those who deliberately sow disinformation. I mean,
Oh, you mean like you?
I see this as retarding the potential of mankind.
You know, bad guys never think of themselves as bad guys. It's just a universal law. Hitler thought he was doing the right thing, and I've got to give Thunderfoot credit. He actually thinks he's in the right, and he is sincere, and he actually thinks he's helping people. In fact, he says so himself.
I want to actually make life better for the next generation.
Well, let's just see who's retarding who exactly, because frankly, Thunderfoot, the things that come out of your mouth are far more dangerous and detrimental to society and yourself than anything Ray Comfort had to say to you. Let me show you.
And this is essentially the scientific method. And this is what has taken us from the Stone Age to landing on the moon in about 300 years.
Apparently Thunderfoot thinks the Stone Age was 300 years ago. Nice. Now, the real funny part is that there never was a Stone Age. There are people who make stone tools today. What does that mean? It means nothing.
So, what was in the beginning? How did all this happen?
Well, there is the assumption that there was a beginning. I mean, this is what we would call in scientific terms an unknown.
No, Thunderfoot, you're a little bit behind the times. You see, time is the measure of changes in matter. An infinite regression states that if there was an infinite amount of changes prior to this moment, we would never have reached this moment in time, because an infinite is never ending, and if there was a never-ending amount of time before right now, since infinites cannot be traversed, we never would have reached this moment in time. This confirms what the Bible says. First verse, in the beginning, this confirms there was a beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. How do we know that? Because if time had a beginning, so did matter and space. Whatever created matter, time, and space exists without matter, time, and space, which would have the properties of God, being eternal, immaterial, and omnipresent. Without space, without matter, without time. It's pretty simple, but again, you want to talk about retarding. Why don't we just throw up our hands and say, we don't know, when we can know? We just need to think outside your little naturalistic box.
Thing that we live in. How did it get here?
Well, we live in a universe.
The word universe comes from two words, uni, which means singular, and verse, meaning a spoken sentence. Indeed, we do live in a universe. You see, God spoke. He said, let there be, and there was. I'm glad that you believe that.
I don't know.
So you don't know how it began, and you don't know if it's eternal.
It's unknown.
To you.
It's unknown to me.
Well, yes, it's an unknown to you, which means you're not an authority on the issue. Now, let's face it, whatever made us, okay, if something is made, then it is made for the reason that it is made. And if you don't know that reason, well then, how are you going to be able to figure out what you're doing here, or be able to guide others and help others? Because frankly, you don't know the meaning of life. And I'm going to illustrate that using your own words.
Question. Do you believe that the universe is simply as we perceive it?
Do you?
If you have this is.
Okay, listen. I don't want to make fun of the guy. Thunderfoot, if you're watching this, I'm sure you're a nice guy and a well-meaning guy. Here's my problem. Your entire shtick here on YouTube, ever since you've gotten here, is to make fun and ridicule people like me. People who do exactly what you just told us to do. To sit back in a chair with your arms outstretched and wonder, well, maybe there is something behind the universe. Something we're not totally seeing. And as soon as we start to wonder and maybe even come to some answers and start to think maybe there is a God, you want to make fun of us and you want to ridicule us and stick us back in your little narrow-minded, naturalistic box. You don't actually want us to think what's outside the universe, what caused everything. So, you know what? You're just a damn hypocrite. That's all there is to it. You're an absolute damn hypocrite. So tell you what, why don't you delete every video you've ever made where you've made fun of people who believe in God and, you know, encourage others to make fun of people who dare to actually think outside your stupid little box, okay? And then come back to YouTube when you're ready to actually take your own advice and start thinking, okay? Start critically thinking about the world and universe you live in, and start reading your Bible without your little... man, you're just... Tell you what. You claim that you have the moral high ground, that you have this absolute understanding of everything, and you sit there with all the, like you think you have all the answers. Well, tell you what, Thunderfoot, you're encouraging a demoralized view of life and mankind. You have no sense of morality, you have no sense of meaning or purpose, and I'm going to show you that by admission of your own mouth.
There's a soul. You don't have a soul. You don't have life.
No.
There's no life in your body.
Well, there is life, yes.
That's the soul.
That's the electric activity in
So
the
you're just electricity.
Pretty much, yeah.
Oh, yeah, pretty much, you know. Life is the equivalent of the electrical current in my iPod Nano, more or less. And morality, goodness, evil, meaning, purpose, you know, we can just throw out our Bibles. We're not made in the image of God. God doesn't love us. There's not a purpose or meaning to our existence. No, you're just a bunch of, you know, electrons, and it doesn't really matter what happens to you any more than what happens to, you know, your television or your telephone, right? I mean, that's exactly what Thunderfoot believes. Oh, you don't believe me? Well, let me show you.
You've got a personality. You've got morality. It's more than electricity.
I think you'll find that in about a decade or so we'll be actually... I mean, it's one of those interesting quirks is that people think they're unique. This is why horoscopes work so well.
Well, everybody's unique.
But they're not.
No, you're not special, and your life doesn't mean more than that of a goldfish. Oh, you don't believe me? Well, let's look to what Thunderfoot has to say.
That's what we were discussing.
Well,
where does morality come from?
Here's another question for you. If your favourite dog is dying and your rotten neighbour is drowning, they're both drowning, you can only save one of them.
Yeah.
Who would you save? Your rotten neighbour or your favourite dog?
Well, before, do you mind if we backpedal? I mean, I'm happy to come. In my case, it would be the dog. I mean, I'll briefly explain why.
Okay, we'll come back to that.
I want to backpedal there.
Okay.
But the reason is that essentially biological. That you get, especially if you live with a dog, they're pack animals, they're very devoted, and you feel the need to reciprocate. Whereas the enemy is someone who you are sort of biologically tuned not to feel sympathy for.
So you just let your neighbour drown and save the dog?
What would you do?
I'd save the neighbour.
Yeah. Well, let's put it another way. There are 6 billion more where they came from.
Yeah, he's not laughing because that's funny. He's laughing because you're insane. You're clearly not right. He knows you're not right. You know you're not right. Everyone watching this video knows you're not right. But you have to hold to that position to make yourself comfortable because, let's face it, you're hiding from God, you're hiding from the truth, you know you're going to die one day and give an account, and you really don't like that idea. And a lot of your audience doesn't like that idea. So they look to you as a hero because, you know, you make fun of creationists so very well that they feel comfortable in their little deluded, arrogant, ignorant little naturalistic box, and they refuse to even, you know, consider that you're wrong. And you are wrong. You're very wrong. You're more wrong than anyone else on YouTube. In fact, you're so wrong that you are currently on your way to hell, along with all the people you've deceived. So, you want my advice, Thunderfoot? If ever I've given you advice, and if ever you've considered taking it, delete every video you've ever made, apologize, both to God and to your audience, and just spend some time in some deep thought and soul-searching. Now, if you have some questions about the Bible, you know I'd be very happy to talk to you about it. I watched your little debate, I watched the whole thing, I made lots of notes. This is only a very short video, but you know what? I have more I could go on for days, Thunderfoot. You can challenge me on any point, and I will just let's talk, okay? Let's talk. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm just going to end on a very sad note. Thunderfoot, you are totally lost. I mean, let's face it, if life is just electricity and matter, then there is no right and wrong, and since you believe that, I'm going to show you that you don't believe there is right and wrong, which amazes me how you can accuse me and others of doing something that's immoral or wrong, because in your worldview, right and wrong don't exist.
Is there right and wrong, absolute right and wrong?
There are limits to which you can. There are limits to the behaviours you can have.
Is adultery wrong?
Adultery. Sleeping with someone else's wife.
Yes.
I don't know. Look how confused he looks. Of course it's wrong. Of course it's wrong. He doesn't know the value of life. He doesn't know right from wrong. He doesn't know where we come from. He doesn't know anything.